Hi guys, welcome to my box of issues. My name is Shanna and I will speak on the struggles I've had with love, Christianity and sexuality on this channel. I also have a podcast. I'll put the link for the podcast in my description bar below. So this is officially my first episode and I saw it fitting to talk or to do a little story time about my testimony or to give my testimony. So to start off, I'm going to give you all a little history or what childhood was like so that you guys can get the fullness of the testimony. So I grew up in an okay home. It was just me, my mom, my brother, and my dad. My parents were great. My dad was a great provider. We had everything we needed. I cannot recall like financial hardship until they were separated, but he was a great provider. We always had what we needed, and my mother was a great nurturing, loving mother. She always affirmed us, she always believed in us, she always just showed us with love. However, as a couple, their relationship was very rocky at times. You know, there was a lot of verbal abuse and physical abuse, and because of that, I never wanted to have a man. I never wanted to be married. I never wanted to have children. And I think it's in speaking those words, because I constantly say growing up, I don't want to be married, I don't want a man, I don't want kids. I think in speaking it over and over again, it started to manifest in my life, and therefore I realized that I was having same-sex attraction when I was in primary school. So around 10, 11 there, I realized that I feel this way. However, I was raised in the church. I got baptized at the age of 10. I was very active in church. Actually, I was on the praise and worship team, the Sunday school choir, the youth choir. I was also a part of a Christian youth ministry where we did singing, dancing, sign language, drama. Yeah. So I never acted on the feelings and the urges. But then, during high school, I started watching porn, soft porn, like Cinemax After Dark. And a little disclaimer, I probably should have said this before I started, but with my box of issues, it's not kids friendly. So if your kids are in the room, you want to kind of send them out. So yeah, so I started watching soft porn, late night, always up. I've always been a night owl, so came across it and started watching it, and of course that led to masturbation, because pornography and masturbation work hand in hand. But after you have the feelings, when you watch it and you get aroused, what are you going to do? So I started watching porn, masturbating, and sex has always been like a drug for me. It's always been something that I run to for comfort and for relief, and whenever I'm stressed out, it has just always been a drug, just something that I turn to. So I went through high school and I never acted on the feelings. I just, masturbation became like a nightly thing. Like, guys, I was addicted to pleasing myself. It felt great. Yeah, so masturbation became a part of my nightly routine. The fast forward now, I am 19. I meet. What is meat?
Piece of chicken.
Not even chicken, a meat. Fast forward, and I left high school. As I said, I never acted upon my urges for females, even though I went to an all-girls school, and one would say, "Oh, that's where I come from." No, it did not come from there, because I could not stand school kids. Nah. So it never stemmed from there. It was coming all the way from longer days. So I never acted under the feeling. As I said, I was very active in church, and even though I was masturbating and watching pornography, and even that, I always had a very strong conviction. Anyway, I left high school and I started trying to act on my urges. But I live in Jamaica and they're very homophobic. I mean, no, them kind of lighten up, but they were very homophobic, and I just never knew how to approach someone here, or to even tell that someone was that kind of way. So I went online and I was on several girls chat rooms and stuff like that. Instagram, Facebook and them things, there wasn't a thing, so it was the regular chat rooms, or I think it was called MySpace back then, them long time there. Anyway, so I was on a lot of girl chats and I met a couple girls, you know, just talked and talked because they weren't here, they weren't Jamaicans. There I met a Trinidadian. That's a whole, I need to sit down and do a story time about that. That's a story I'll have to share some other time. I met this Trinidadian, yeah, we spoke online. I met a couple other persons, and then I met my husband in the flesh. Yeah, not online, I met him in the flesh. And honestly, when I just met my husband, sad to say, he was a cover-up, you know, because my mother was slowly kind of picking up on the fact that I was into girls. So I met him, and to be honest, he was just so different. I used to call my husband my butch because he was just so different. He was so loving and kind and understanding, and it was he was nothing like the men that I had around me growing up. He was nothing like them. He was just the total opposite. I didn't even know that men could be that nice, honestly, trust me. So we were friends, and then we formed a relationship, and so I met my husband and we were friends, and then we started dating, and then fornication came into play. Yeah. We call it premarital sex came into play, and however, the urge and the curiosity to be with a female never disappeared. It never went away. And I told him from the get-go, from I met him, that yo, I'm into girls, this is me. And he accepted that. He accepted me for who I was. Yeah, so as much as I was dating him, I still had the urges, and I met someone online. She bought me a ticket. I spent a Christmas and New Year's with her, and I had my first sexual encounter with a female, first full-on sexual encounter with a female. And I don't really know how to share my testimony and make it sound like, oh my god, I did this horrible thing, because though it's a sin, it's pleasurable, and it felt good. I had fun. So I came back to Jamaica after however long I was there, and I was still like, yo, I need more of this. So I continued to have encounters with other females while being with my then boyfriend. My husband, who was then my boyfriend, got baptized, and we got married like a month or two after he got baptized. And I was like, yo, my husband is now a Christian, I'm now married, I'm now legal to have sex, like, you know, I don't have to be like feeling guilty about it anymore. I'm legal, so I am going to put away that lifestyle, that whole being with a female lifestyle, bisexual lifestyle, same-sex lifestyle, and just be with my husband. So for the first 2 years of our marriage, I did not entertain any females. We didn't text, didn't flirt, just did away with that lifestyle. Then the year 2013 happened, guys, and that was a very rough year for me. Like, I remember the year 2013 like it was yesterday. It was a very rough year. It was the year we had our son, and that was one of the only good things that came from that year. So I had my son, and 2 weeks after I had my son, I had to be rushed into an emergency surgery. My appendix had ruptured. Yeah, for 1 whole week. Went to the doctor and he said it was gas and gave me meds, and I was home 1 whole week with a ruptured appendix. So they rushed me into surgery, And I remember going into surgery just thinking like, God, you can't make me dead left my newborn, and my husband literally we just got married. Like, how him young, like at this point I'm 23, he's 24. How am I going to grow a child, raise a child on his own? So my pray to God, like, God, please. Anyway, a couple months after that, someone died. Someone who was a role model for me, but never knew it. And I think that's why I took it so hard, because growing up I wasn't a very vocal person. Like, I'm very vocal now. Like, me not really care what you think about me when me talk. I'm going to express myself. I'm going to let you know how I feel, because growing up I was not a vocal person. Not that I was bullied not to or anything. Like, my mom always wanted to know what was on my mind, but I wasn't vocal with others. Like, I was very antisocial and to myself. So you could mean the world to me and not know. So I wasn't very vocal growing up, and therefore this person was like a role model. It was someone that I looked up to. And she died at a very young age, leaving her child, like her 5-year-old child at the time, and her husband. And I couldn't wrap my head around it, and I questioned God a lot in that time. I'm like, God, this is somebody that has been serving you all her life. Like, she's one of them people that were them neighbor string cut in a church. You get me? And you just make you sleep and I wake up. Like, I couldn't get it. Like, if it was an accident, I could have said, alright, then it was an accident. If somebody, as a God, if somebody did murder me, I feel better. It might sound away, but I just couldn't wrap my head around how we should just sleep and never wake up. And I had a hard time. This was somebody who shared the same love that I have, one of the same love that I have, and which is ministry, which is singing, which is praise and worship, and just so I remember for years I could sing a gospel song, because every time I sing one gospel song I remember her. Every time I sing one gospel song I remembered her. It was just very hard to move on from that. And then a couple months after that, my husband dad died, and that was the straw that broke the camel back in 2013, trust me, because I was like, God, you suffer better or for worse. I know when I reached the better, and it's just been worse after worse after worse. Like, seriously, it cannot get any worse. So his dad died, and watching your spouse grief, and it's like, at that point I didn't even know how to comfort him, how to be there. I just never know what to do, and I tell God, I'm tired of you. I'm done with you. I'm done. I've had enough. Because if this is how you treat the people that serve you all their life, me not see that. Not make no sense. And that was just my tainted young way of thinking that Christianity should be a bed of roses, which it's not. My husband used to say that I was raised with rose-colored glasses, which is true. My mother kind of sheltered me, so it was even when bad things were happening or we were having hard times, she would hide that from us. So because of that, I never knew that as a Christian the struggles were so many. Like, the struggles is just real, like day after day, it's something new. So whenever I get it, me like, God, how can people be serving you all them life, and this is how you treat them? This cannot make sense. So I said, I'm done with you. Tired of you, sir. Tired of you. So I got a girlfriend that very year in December 2013, and that was my only relationship, to say, really. Others were just encounters, sexual encounters. So I was with that girl for 2 years while being married. So I was addicted to porn, masturbation. I had premarital sex. I was having sexual relationships with females even during my marriage. So what? That's adultery, right? A whole lot of stuff. Wow. Anyway, so I was with her for 2 years, and then that ended, and I continued to be with other females. Now the year 2017 comes around, and I feel as though I just want to stop. Because one thing about me, I always knew that it was wrong. The conviction was always there. The guilt was always there. It was like, I don't know. Conviction is something that I feel very strong for me. Very strong. So even if me I do wrong, I mean no say it wrong, the conviction is there. So the conviction was always there, so I was always back and forth with it. Like, alright, God, I'm gonna stop for one year or a couple months, and then I'm right back at it. So I went to a minister because I'm like, God, I'm struggling with this on my own for years and it's not working, so therefore I need help. So I decided that I needed help because I was struggling with this thing for years on my own and it's obviously not working. So I went to a minister at my church at that time and I told her, yo, I want to come back to church, but I have an issue. I have a problem. And I couldn't even speak the words, guys. I literally had to write it down on a piece of paper that I'm a bisexual. Like, literally had to write it down. And so I told her and we went through a deliverance session. We had like 2 follow-up sessions where, you know, we just talked on how to really put that lifestyle away. Wow. However, guys, that lasted like 2 months, to be honest. It lasted a couple of months, and this time they have this scripture in the Bible. If I find it, when I'm editing, I will put it on the screen. There's a scripture in the Bible that says that when you are delivered from demons, when they're coming back, they come what, 7 times stronger? Inje? They come back 7 times stronger. I don't remember if it's 7 times, but they come back stronger. And that is definitely true, guys. It was like every 3 weeks, it was a different female. Every 3 weeks. So I went from probably ever having encounter with like 5 women to like a whole lot in a very short time. And it got so much to the point where in 2018 I realized that, yo, this is not satisfying. Yes, it's pleasurable. Yes, it's fun for the couple of minutes or a couple of hours that it lasts, but once it's done, I felt empty inside. I felt hollow inside. Like there was something that was missing, and the guilt and the conviction was just very strong. Like I felt dirty afterwards, and I didn't want to live with that feeling anymore, any longer. So I said, God, I'm done with this. I am done with this lifestyle, because it just got so much, so to the point where I was losing myself. I was losing my morals. Yeah, but they always there with woman, but it got to a point, as I said, every 3 weeks it was something else, someone else, to the point where it just started to be very distasteful. So I stopped, and I've not been with a woman since 2018. I rededicated my life in 2019, and I will share more on. There's more to the testimony, honestly, but I will share that in a different episode when I'm joined with my husband, where we will talk about infidelity and how it affected our marriage and how we got over that. So there's more to it, but I give up on that lifestyle in 2018. And has it been easy? No. The urges did not magically disappear overnight, but I just finally made up my mind that, listen, I am not going to do this anymore. And I had to change a lot of things. So it's all well and good knowing the Bible and knowing what it says, but you have to be practical. So I had to delete and block a whole lot of people out of my phone. I had to stop having certain conversations. I had to stop watching certain things. I had to stop dealing with certain people, stop interacting with certain people because of this. So it's not easy to get rid of, and it's not easy to deal with, but it is possible. You have to make a conscious effort every single day to do better, because we all have our temptations. It's just that my temptation doesn't look like your temptation. So having the temptation is not what makes you a sinner. It's acting on those temptations. So the temptation didn't just disappear overnight. However, with praying and reading the Bible, really feasting on the word and spending time in God's presence, it has become less and less and easier to just like shun the very appearance of evil. As the Bible says, it becomes very easy for me like, devil, seriously, not today. It has become easier, but the temptations are still there from time to time. So yeah, that's my testimony. I was a bisexual and I have been free from that lifestyle for about 3 years now. Never imagined that I would get here never imagined that I would get here, you know, to a point where I know it's like it will never happen, like never happen. Because I just have more to live for, honestly, and I have a better understanding of who Christ is. And so yeah. Okay guys, so that's the end of the testimony. I really hope that it inspires someone. I hope that it allows someone to realize that you're never too far gone. I always say that, that's my motto. Nobody's ever too far gone for God to change them and to save them. And it doesn't matter what your urges are, it doesn't matter what your temptations are, it doesn't matter what your past looks like. Don't ever let anyone judge you and condemn you for your past, because God does not condemn us, and Jesus died so that we might have life and have it more abundantly, and so that we can be redeemed from our sins. And as the Bible says, we have all sinned and come short of the glory of God. We were born in sin and shaped in iniquity. So everyone have their struggles. Everyone have their past. And no matter how you think you far gone, trust me, there's somebody out there that has done way worse than you, and God has forgiven them. He has never, ever turned his back on me. Even when I knew better and messed up, once I came, he received me with open arms. And I can truly say that redemption is possible, and it is possible to walk away from that lifestyle. It's not easy, I don't think it's easy to give up any sin. I don't think any sin is easy to give up, but it is possible with dedication and with feeding yourself with the word and with equipping yourself and having godly people around you as well, and people to hold you accountable. It is possible. God bless you all. Until next time, I'm Shanna. Bye.